The Mars rover was dying, and the world was watching. CNN, BBC, every news channel broadcasting live. A $2.5 billion project, humanity's first step toward Mars colonization. Everything was on the verge of collapse. 300 people at NASA Mission Control hadn't slept in 72 hours. The most advanced AI systems, quantum computers, the world's brightest engineers, none of them could find a solution. Mission Director Peterson stared at the list in his hands. "Emergency Protocol 7, he said, his voice thick with exhaustion. "Call every retired senior engineer, everyone." The list was long, but when he saw Dorothy Singh's name, he paused. 67 years old, retired for 15 years, probably didn't understand modern systems, but "Call her," Peterson said, because 47 hours remained, and there were no other options. Sometimes miracles come in the most desperate moments. From which city around the world are you watching this story today? If you believe in stories of real courage like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Dorothy Singh sat in her living room armchair, working on a puzzle with her granddaughter. At 67, her gray hair was pulled back in a bun, reading glasses perched on the tip of her nose. In her hands still rested that old leather notebook, bearing the traces of a 40-year career, edges worn, pages yellowed and curled. "Grandma," said 12-year-old Emma, "nobody uses handwriting anymore. Why do you still carry that notebook?" Dorothy smiled. "This isn't just a notebook, sweetheart. This is my way of thinking. People do everything on computers now, but sometimes—" The phone rang, the call that would change Dorothy's life. "Dorothy Singh?" said the voice on the other end. "This is Dr. Peterson calling from NASA Mission Control. We need your help in an emergency situation." Dorothy was surprised. They hadn't called her in the last 5 years. They thought she was too old, too old-fashioned. "We've lost contact with our Perseverance rover on Mars," Peterson said, unable to hide the panic in his voice. "All our systems have failed. Are you the Dorothy Singh who did the calculations for the Apollo program?" "Yes," Dorothy said quietly. "Then please come immediately. We're running out of time." The Mission Control Hall at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center was in electronic chaos. Giant screens showed the last images from Mars's surface. The rover sat silent on the red planet, alone, as if dead. When Dorothy entered through the door, the young people in the hall looked at her, a casually dressed, elderly woman. In her hands, a leather notebook and a calculator from the 1980s. "This is our emergency expert," whispered one of the young engineers. Dr. Peterson, 35 years old, NASA's youngest mission director, came to greet Dorothy. "Mrs. Singh, welcome. Let me explain the situation." "First, show me the problem," Dorothy said calmly. Peterson led her to the central console with the giant screens. "Our Perseverance rover on Mars suddenly cut all communication 72 hours ago. The solar panels are deployed, so it's not a power issue, but none of our commands are getting through." Dorothy looked at the screens, then opened her notebook. Handwritten notes, formulas, drawings. Young systems analyst Alex Thompson glanced sideways. "What's that?" he asked his colleague. "A calculator from the 1990s. "Shh," his friend warned, but couldn't suppress a laugh. Dorothy heard this but didn't react. After 40 years in her career, she was used to it. "Mrs. Singh," Dr. Peterson said diplomatically, "maybe we should first show you our modern systems." This is our AI-based diagnostics platform." "No need," Dorothy interrupted. "Can you print out the rover's telemetry data from the last 48 hours?" "Print?" Alex was shocked. "Ma'am, all the data is here on screens, 4K resolution with real-time analytics." "I want paper," Dorothy said decisively. The young people looked at each other. Was this elderly woman serious? Peterson, not wanting to hurt her feelings, had 200 pages of telemetry printed out. Dorothy took it, sat at a table, put on her glasses, and began reading. She was taking notes with her old pen, doing calculations on her calculator. Meanwhile, NASA's supercomputers continued working, quantum processors performing millions of calculations per second, AI algorithms analyzing every possibility. "Our Quantex 5000 supercomputer," Alex explained proudly, "has 15 teraflops of processing power per second. Machine learning calculates all variables in Mars's atmosphere." Dorothy didn't look up. She just continued working with the formulas in her notebook. T-minus 32 hours. Outside, the media had gone crazy. Headlines like "Mars rover lost," $2.5 billion project in danger were everywhere. The NASA administrator called an emergency meeting. He came to Mission Control to assess the situation. T-minus 28 hours. The yellowed pages in Dorothy's notebook were from 1979. That year, she was working in the final phases of the Apollo program. She had made a calculation. There was only a 0.003-degree angle difference in the tables. Her supervisors had gone crazy at the time. "Dorothy, this precision error would send us to Mars," they had said mockingly. Now, 44 years later, there really was a problem on Mars. Dorothy's pen stopped. She looked at that old calculation. She had noticed something. Mars's orbital eccentricity, solar activity cycle, the planet's magnetic field. "Dr. Peterson," Dorothy said quietly. Peterson rushed over. "Yes, Mrs. Singh?" "Which direction is the rover's antenna facing?" "Toward Earth. Standard configuration." "No," Dorothy said, showing the formula in her notebook. "According to calculations from 44 years ago, on this date, Mars's magnetic field shifts 12 degrees. Your antenna is facing the wrong direction." Peterson was shocked. This is impossible. Our modern systems calculate this." "Your modern systems don't calculate the 44-year cycle," Dorothy said calmly. "I solved this problem in 1979, but there were no rovers on Mars then." T-minus 18 hours. Alex and his team decided to quick-check Dorothy's calculation. They started a 44-year Mars orbital data analysis on the quantum computer. The result came 30 minutes later. Alex's face went pale. This is correct. Mars's magnetic field has indeed shifted 12.4 degrees. Dr. Peterson couldn't believe it. Why didn't the Quantex 5000 calculate this? "Because," Dorothy said quietly, "your computers are only as smart as what they're programmed for. But you forgot to program the 44-year cycle." The hall fell silent. 300 people, billion-dollar systems, and the handwritten notes of a 67-year-old woman. "Change the antenna direction," Dorothy said. "To this angle." She showed the formula in her notebook. Peterson gave the order to his team. "Modify the targeting parameters, now." T-minus 12 hours. A signal came from Mars. "Contact re-established," shouted the control room. "Rover responsive, all systems online." A new rule was introduced at NASA Mission Control. All critical problems would first be consulted with retired engineers. Dorothy Singh's desk would be kept permanently ready. 3 months later, Dorothy came to NASA again, this time as a consultant. The young engineers now approached her with respect. Alex came to Dorothy's side. "Mrs. Singh, I started taking notes too. Handwritten." Dr. Peterson approached Dorothy. "Mrs. Singh, I have a proposal. Would you like to be NASA's permanent consultant part-time, half-days?" Dorothy thought for a while. "I accept, but I have one condition." "What is it?" "I'll teach all the young engineers how to take notes. Handwritten." Peterson laughed. "Deal." This isn't a true story, but the message within it is real. Experience cannot replace technology, but the best results emerge when both are used together. People like Dorothy Singh exist everywhere, quietly, humbly, waiting to share their experience. Maybe you're one of them too. If this story inspired you, subscribe to the channel, because the most powerful stories come from those who are overlooked.